Hi. I'm going to do my best to hold this camera steady. It's been a really beautiful day, and I'm in a beautiful place, and it's been such a delightful, delightful experience. And there's probably going to be a lot of andas in today's episode. I have had a lot on my mind lately, and today it seems like the topic that I want to talk about, and maybe mostly for myself, is quiet and being willing to sit in quiet. So I know it's probably a little bit interesting, maybe ironic that, and see, there they go quiet. So the birds around me, there's so many birds around me, and to be talking about quiet, I mean, just listen to them. So I used to be very comfortable. I think some would say too comfortable. Some did say too comfortable sitting in quiet. I did not have a problem spending time by myself, with no music, no videos, no nothing in the background, just me. And um, if you've had the experience of sitting in quiet, there's a feeling, there's a sensation that goes with that stillness, and I still love it. But there was a time when I was really comfortable, and that's a space that I inhabited more often than spaces where there was a lot of sound going on or a lot of videos in the background, which is the space that I've been inhabiting for the past few years. Just constant, mostly YouTube, taking in a lot of information. And I definitely had my reasons for doing it. It felt appropriate. Sometimes it felt necessary because there were things that I was learning. Um, and it felt like there was a time frame in which I could learn those things before I needed to make decisions and respond to what was happening around me in life. So that's my justification for having spent the past couple of years just really um, in a lot of sound and opinions and information. And it was only recently, and by recently, I think I mean the past year, that I started recognizing that I didn't have a tolerance for being quiet. Like, I could be quiet, but I had to have something going in the background. And what's coming to mind now is that um, one of my parents uh, is what I'll call a media multitasker. So this um, this person will have just like multiple things going, a television going with news or a movie or something, and then they'll be working on something, usually on the computer. So there's just multiple like sources of input going on. And I grew up watching this in action. And I used to tell myself that my habit of having sound on in the background while I was working on something else that required my thinking mind was my way of spending time with this person, because we don't live in the same area. We're not in the same space together. And I think that that was true in part. It certainly brought this person to mind every time I caught myself doing it. Like, oh, I'm multitasking with the input again. But In the past few months, I think, and especially very recently in the past few weeks, I've begun to understand that it's also true that I have been uncomfortable, like really, really unwilling to sit in my own silence and hear, like really, really hear what's going on inside, like how my own mind is working with some of the more difficult things that I'm working through right now in my life. So that was actually surprising because, um, well, first of all, there was my former comfort with being still and quiet and not needing external distractions. And then, in addition to that, my professional work used to be about helping other people create peace in their body and peace in their environments. Um, so, to find myself in a season of my life in which I don't have the tolerance to be in my own quiet has been, what has it been? I don't know what it's been, but finally, just in the past couple of weeks, my compulsion to turn on YouTube. YouTube is the thing that I go to all the time. I have like my my lists on my YouTube account of the things that I'm going to watch, like over 1,000 videos that I stash them away like squirrels stashing nuts. And I know this. I'm not going to get to that. And um, I know this about myself, that I'm just like hoarding information. I heard somebody say that recently, hoarding information hoarders, and it's definitely something that I do. So lately, I have been just naturally, I have been able to go for long stretches of time, and I'm not going to tell you what the actual time is because it's nowhere near what I need it to be. But I've been able to go for long stretches of time without turning on a video and either watching it directly or having it run in the background. And the sensation in my mind and the sensation in my body has been wonderful. And it's been familiar, like, oh, there it is again. And for some of you who might have a meditation practice, you might know this sensation of like physical quiet. Um, it's almost like pouring some soothing substance over the brain. It feels really good to be in that kind of quiet. And I haven't experienced that I haven't experienced it consistently for many, many years. I would say for, what is this, 2026? So at least the past 2 years full. Because I think this anxiety about being in my own stillness, I think it started about it sometime in 2023. I'll just put that in a bookmark, and I might need to revise that date later, but for right now, 2023 is the year that comes to mind. It's the year that I developed an intolerance for being in my own quiet. There was a lot going on. So now it feels like I might be coming back to a capacity for not needing to fill up quiet spaces with the sound of other people's voices and thoughts and ideas and opinions and beliefs and even historical information, factual information. And that feels really good. And in terms of conversations and how we show up in our communication with other people, something that I remember from the season of my life where I could be in quiet for long periods of time with no discomfort. When we are able to be, when we don't need to be entertained or distracted, we are able to listen in on what someone else is sharing with us about their thoughts. We're really able to hear what's being communicated to us, verbally and non-verbally. And conversations happen verbally and non-verbally. So I think what I'd like to encourage you and invite you to is a stillness practice. If you are not already comfortable just sitting in your own presence, in your own company, sitting in your own company without music, without conversation, without movies and videos playing in the background or audiobooks, there's so many options. If you're not already I'm just wondering if I want to say highly capable or just capable, but I'll say capable for now, of sitting in your own quiet. I encourage you to start that practice. And however many minutes a day you can manage to just hang out with yourself. It's a really good practice to have. And the better we become at hanging out with ourselves, the more present we can be with other people. And one of the skills of having good conversation and being able to communicate well is the ability to be present with ourselves first, because we can catch things like reactivity and our own distractedness. When we can be present with ourselves, we can catch ourselves. Oh, my mind just wandered, or oh, I'm not really listening to this person. I'm building up my rebuttal to whatever it is they're saying, and whatever else happens in our minds when we're with somebody else. So we build up our ability to be present with ourselves and what's going on internally. And we also build up our ability to be present with the other person. We're able to hear things that aren't being said, even though they're speaking words. We are able to feel when the energy shifts. You have probably all experienced a moment where something shifted, something changed in the conversation, but you don't know what it was, and maybe if you'd been able to address it as it happened, you might have been able to keep the conversation going, or drop into a deeper conversation with that person at that moment of something shifting, being able to catch like, oh, it feels like something just happened there. Can you talk about that? Or did you notice that? Or is it just me? A few different options for when that happens. Yeah, I think that right now I'm just wanting to share for myself, for my own record keeping, that I'm beginning to feel an appreciation again for the pauses in between my words, and my ability and even my desire to have more silent spaces between thoughts, like not going from one video to another video, or one idea to another idea, being able to sit and spend time with an experience, or just the quiet of a space. I know this is, it sounds very vague. I know that this is kind of an ambiguous, vague conversation, because I'm expressing my experience and you're not necessarily there having the experience with me. But you can relate with this by just checking in with yourself and asking, how comfortable are you with spending time with just yourself without any other input? And if you're not comfortable, um, we're not interested in shaming that or condemning it or even trying to change that right now, but just being curious about, well, if I'm not comfortable being in my own silence and quiet, why? Like, what's that about? And you can ask yourself that question for a while. Um, yeah, so that's what I'd like to share about that. Um, I do have something else that's on my mind, and I'm just gonna park it here or introduce it here because I might act on it. So I have another channel, and I think that channel is about 10 years old, maybe older. I don't know. But I may want to combine these new videos, these new recordings with the older channel. And it's something I'm considering, but for right now, there's something about continuity. Um, I didn't just pop up on YouTube, but I have taken long breaks from it um, for a number of reasons, mainly feeling as though I didn't have anything worthy of recording and sharing with other people. And there's a lot that we can say about that. But I started this channel because my intention was to offer conversational skills and conversational practice with people who are learning English or people who are wanting to hold on to their English skills. As I said in the first video, I have been tutoring slash teaching slash coaching mostly adult professionals and university students and graduates in English use, in their English skill development. And I've been doing this for the last 5 years. I love it, mostly because I have amazing conversations with people, and my perspective on life is stretched when I sit in these conversations. Even conversations with some of the very young ones. Every once in a while, I get a high schooler in the classroom. So there's been core questions that come up again and again and again over the years. And I just thought I enjoy talking on camera. And these questions that people have when they're learning a language, they're common questions. And it would just be helpful for people to have a place where they can tune in and just pick up a skill or two every now and then, weekly, whatever it is. So that was my intention and my thought behind starting the channel. And there's a few reasons why I decided to create a new channel. One of the reasons is because I didn't see how this conversational practice fit in with my other channel, what I had built and spoken about before. But even though it's only been like a week and a half now, the things that I think about when I think about coming into this space with you are the things that I thought about on the other channel. It's just that my focus is on a specific part of the population, which it hasn't been before. So I don't like the suggestion of this channel that I'm just brand new, popping up out of nowhere like an overnight mushroom, which are beautiful, but there's like the whole mycelium network underneath the ground that mushroom sprung up from. And I have a mycelial network on another channel. So I'm considering migrating these videos over to that channel and continuing with that channel. I'm not sure yet. And if you're watching this and you have an opinion, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I see we're at almost 20 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video. And going to thank you for being here. Thanks for, hanging out through my and ums. This is a conversational channel. I encourage you to think of conversations as an ongoing, living entity of its own. And so I'm not showing up here in a boardroom discussion. I'm not going to list off my points and hit you with, a linear conversation, at least not in the beginning. So this is me giving you permission to work through ideas as a way of deciding what's actually worth pursuing in terms of what you think about and what you want to share with the world and your community. Okay. This is Conversations in English, at least for the time being. And I encourage you to be brave and practice. And I'll see you in the next conversation.